Have you ever pondered over the question, why is the Palestinian-Israeli conflict one of the most enduring and contentious issues of modern times? It's a question that invites intrigue and demands a deep dive into the annals of history. The Palestinian-Israeli conflict, a saga of discord and dispute, is a complex mesh of historical, religious, and political threads. This isn't an overnight phenomenon. It's a conflict that has been brewing for centuries, etched in the sands of time, and fueled by the fires of religious fervor, territorial claims, and political ambitions. It's a tale of two nations, intertwined by destiny and divided by beliefs. The narrative is filled with nuances and subtleties that require careful unraveling. It's a multifaceted issue that extends beyond mere borders, resonating deeply with the identity and existence of the people involved. To comprehend this intricate issue, we need to travel back in time and trace its origins. The Palestinian-Israeli conflict didn't emerge overnight. Its roots can be traced back to the late 19th and early 20th centuries. A tumultuous time indeed, marked by growing nationalisms and the realignment of global powers. Among these rising nationalistic sentiments was Zionism, a movement that sought a homeland for the Jewish people. This political ideology gained momentum in the late 19th century, largely in response to widespread anti-Semitism in Europe. A pivotal moment in this narrative was the Balfour Declaration of 1917. This was a letter from the British Foreign Secretary, Arthur Balfour, to Lord Rothschild, a leader of the British Jewish community. In this letter, the British government pledged its support for the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. However, the declaration also stipulated that nothing should prejudice the civil and religious rights of the existing non-Jewish communities in Palestine. This balancing act proved to be a challenging task. Now let's fast forward to the aftermath of World War I. The League of Nations granted Britain the mandate to administer Palestine. The British, now with the official authority, facilitated Jewish immigration to Palestine. This was met with increasing opposition from the Arab locals, who constituted the majority of the population. They feared being marginalized in their own land, leading to rising tensions. The British, caught in the middle, tried to placate both sides with various policies and promises, but to little avail. The waves of Jewish immigrants continued to arrive, fleeing persecution in Europe, especially during the horror of the Holocaust. This further exacerbated the tensions between the Jewish immigrants and Arab locals. With the end of the British mandate, the stage was set for a conflict that would shape the Middle East for decades to come. 1948, a year of joy for some, was a year of catastrophe for others. This statement encapsulates the duality of experiences that unfolded during the birth of Israel, marking the start of a conflict that remains unresolved to this day. In the aftermath of World War II and the Holocaust, the United Nations proposed a partition plan to establish a Jewish state in Palestine. This plan was accepted by the Jewish Agency for Palestine, but vehemently rejected by Arab nations and Palestinian leaders. Regardless, Israel declared its independence on May 14, 1948, a move that was immediately recognized by several countries, including the United States and the Soviet Union. This declaration triggered the 1948 Arab-Israeli War, also known as the War of Independence for Israelis and the Nakba, or catastrophe, for Palestinians. Military forces from Egypt, Jordan, Syria, and Iraq invaded the newly declared State of Israel. The war was brutal and bloody, resulting in significant loss of life on both sides. However, the human cost of this conflict extended beyond the battlefield. For Palestinians, the establishment of Israel resulted in the displacement of an estimated 700,000 individuals from their homes. These individuals became refugees, a status that has been passed down through generations and remains a contentious issue today. The war ended in 1949 with an armistice, but not before significantly altering the map of the region. Israel expanded its territory beyond the borders proposed by the United Nations, sparking territorial disputes that continue to fuel conflict today. The 1948 war was just the beginning, setting the tone for a series of conflicts that would continue for years. This statement is as true today as it was then, illustrating the deep and complex roots of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The decades following 1948 were marked by wars, uprisings, peace treaties, and failed negotiations. The landscape of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict was forever altered in 1967 by the Six-Day War. Israel, in a preemptive strike against neighboring Arab states, expanded its territories to include the West Bank, Gaza Strip, Sinai Peninsula, and the Golan Heights. This swift and decisive victory not only altered the geopolitical map, but also intensified the struggle for Palestinian self-determination. Moving forward to 1973, the Yom Kippur War saw a coalition of Arab states launch a surprise attack on Israel on the holiest day in the Jewish calendar. Despite initial gains, the Arab coalition was eventually repelled, and the war ended in a stalemate. However, it marked a turning point as it led to the first direct public negotiations between Israel and Arab states. The late 1980s and early 2000s bore witness to the Intifadas, periods of intensified Palestinian protest and violence, which further complicated the volatile situation. Yet amidst the violence, efforts towards peace were being made. The 1990s saw the Oslo Accords, where for the first time, Israel recognized the Palestinian Liberation Organization as the legitimate representative of the Palestinian people, leading to the establishment of the Palestinian Authority. At the turn of the millennium, the Camp David summit was seen as a significant stride towards peace, despite its eventual failure. It brought the Israeli Prime Minister and the Palestinian Authority's president face to face, with the United States mediating. The summit highlighted the role of external powers in the peace process, a recurring theme in this conflict's history. The narrative of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is a complex web of historical events, political maneuvers, and the relentless pursuit of peace against a backdrop of ongoing struggle. Despite numerous attempts at peace, the conflict remains unresolved, making it one of the world's most protracted and contentious issues. The Palestinian-Israeli conflict, a saga of struggle and survival, has left an indelible mark on the region and the world. We've journeyed through the roots of the conflict, the birth of Israel, and the ongoing struggle that ensues. Today, the conflict continues to reverberate globally, influencing international relations and policies. Looking ahead, the future prospects remain complex. The course of this conflict will be determined by a myriad of factors, including diplomacy, international intervention, and the will of the people on both sides. The path to resolving the Palestinian-Israeli conflict remains uncertain, but understanding its history is a step towards grasping its complexity and the challenges that lie ahead.